Hello, and welcome to this interview question and answer series video. Today's video is about the interview question, tell me about a time when you received negative feedback. In this video, we're going to do a deep dive into this question and how to answer it. We're going to be looking at common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question, how to pick the perfect example to use in your answer, plus we are going to walk through a real example answer that you can tailor to your needs. First up though, we are going to look at the best way to structure your answer. If you aren't bothered about any of that other stuff I just mentioned and just want to see the example answer, then there's a timestamp link to be found in the description notes. Also in the description notes is a link to an article on this topic should you wish to read instead of listening to my voice. Other than that, let's crack on. Now let's begin with answer structure. These type of questions, often called competency-based questions, are all about sharing your experience with the interviewer. The interviewer wants to hear what you did, how you did it, and maybe most important of all, why you did it. In order to achieve this, your answer needs to be well structured. You need to ensure that you hit all the key points that you want the interviewer to hear in a logical order, while also avoiding the urge to ramble on. The best way to pull this off is by using the B-star method. Using this technique, you will split your answer into 5 individual parts. The first is the B, which stands for belief. You want to begin your response by sharing your thoughts and feelings regarding the subject matter. This helps set the stage for your answer and demonstrates your personal connection to the topic. If this doesn't make much sense to you, don't worry, there will be an example answer using this structure later in this video. Next up, we have S for situation. Briefly describe the context or background of the scenario in which your actions took place. This provides the interviewer with an understanding of the circumstances surrounding your experience. Remember, it's essential to keep this part concise, as the primary focus should be on your actions and the results. Just give the interviewer the quick who, what, where, when, and why. Following the situation, we have T for task. Explain your specific role and responsibilities in the situation. By doing this, you highlight what you were entrusted with in your previous roles and also lets the interviewer understand what expectations were made of you within the situation at hand. Up next, we have the most important section, and that is A for action, or activity if you prefer. Describe the steps you took to achieve the desired outcome and explain the rationale behind your actions. This part of your answer should be the most detailed, as it illustrates your problem-solving abilities, relevant skills, and adaptability in handling challenges. And finally, we have R for the results. Conclude your response with the results of your actions, using figures or quantifiable outcomes whenever possible. This will demonstrate to the interviewer the impact of your efforts and your ability to deliver tangible results in your role. This is also where you could share any lessons you learned from the experience. So now we know what the interviewer is looking for when asking this question, and we know how we are going to structure our answer. The only thing left is to pick an example from our experience and build out our ideal answer. But hey, before we start building out our masterpiece, let's talk about some of the interview no-nos that you're going to want to avoid. Firstly, avoid having a passive role in the situation. Sure, it might seem counterproductive in an interview setting telling an interviewer about receiving negative feedback, but that's what the interviewers asked for, so that's what you should give them. Which leads us directly into the second thing you should not do when answering this question, which is to give a vague or a generic answer. The question includes the phrase, tell me about a time. This means that interviewers want to hear specific examples. Avoid providing a response that isn't based on an actual experience or one that lacks detail and doesn't showcase your own actions. And number 3, things that you should not do when answering this question. Overly describing the scenario without focusing on the specific feedback received and the actions taken in response. When you do this, you miss the critical part of the question, which was tell me about the time that you received negative feedback. We've explored how to construct our response, and we have also looked at pitfalls to avoid when answering this question. Next, let's delve into selecting the most effective example to use in our answer. Think about the following points when you're coming up with stories from your experience to tell the interviewer. The first thing your answer should have is a positive outcome. Choose an example that can only be described as a success driven by you and one which you can use to showcase the benefits of your actions. This is not to say you can't have taken lessons away from the venture, and it is always good to talk about how you would improve upon your actions in the future. But the underlying situation should be resolved successfully when you are outlining your answer. The second thing your example should be is relevant to the job you are applying for. Choose an example that is closely related to the job that you are applying for. An example that is from the same industry or sector would be the most preferable. A good trick here would be to learn what upcoming work your new team has in the pipeline and use examples from your past that are relevant to that work. And finally, your example should represent a challenge. Look for examples where you faced a significant challenge or problem and were able to resolve it effectively. Put simply, you're trying to impress the interviewer. Make sure your example isn't some run-of-the-mill situation that anybody could have fixed. Pick an example which shows that only you had the skills or know-how to get the job done. Now, let's see the B-Star technique in action with an example. Again, the question being answered is, tell me about the time when you received negative feedback. I believe that being open to negative feedback is essential for personal growth and improving team performance. One instance when I received negative feedback was while leading a project team. A stakeholder expressed dissatisfaction with the pace of progress, feeling that the project was not moving quickly enough and encountering too many delays and roadblocks. In this situation, I immediately took the feedback seriously and called a team meeting to review the project plan and identify areas for improvement. It was during this process that we discovered some misunderstandings and miscommunications within the team that were causing the delays. My task in this scenario was to take responsibility for these issues and work with my team to implement a more effective system for tracking progress and addressing any challenges that arose. I actively led my team in refining our project management approach, which resulted in a significant improvement in the pace of the project. As a result, the stakeholder was pleased with the progress we made, and I learned the importance of regularly checking in with stakeholders and keeping them informed about the status of the project. I have since incorporated this valuable lesson into my project management approach, ensuring better communication and more efficient progress on future projects. Alright then, that wraps up our analysis of this interview question. I hope by watching this video you'll be more prepared for this question the next time you are asked. Speaking of being prepared, are there any interview questions that you struggle with every time you are asked, regardless of how well you prepare? Drop a comment below with the question that's been giving you a hard time, and we will dedicate our very next video to breaking it down, giving you the strategies to tackle it with confidence. Your input is invaluable, and together we can make your next interview your best one yet. And as always, if you like our videos, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, keep practicing, stay positive. Your dream job is just around the corner. Take care.